Hello, my name is Marquita Hayes, and I'll be introducing my Practicum project for this semester. The title of my project was The Prevalence of Mental Health and Substance Abuse in Veterans. Next slide. The purpose. The purpose of my project to analyze the prevalence of mental health and substance abuse in veterans and to determine if consistent outpatient programs affects their ability to sustain healthy habits that are conducive to their quality of life. Next slide. Setting. The setting of my practicum was at the domiciliary, which is an inpatient treatment facility for veterans. The usual time frame of domiciliary stay lies between a single month and 6 months, although it usually varies from one veteran to another by each veteran needs. The goals for each veteran is to achieve their optimum functionality levels and to ultimately return to independent living. Next slide. So I based my practicum project on the logic model, which throughout the course of the practicum, I observed the healthcare team support and encourage the residents through activities, workshops, resources in the community, trainings, counseling, and advising. The goals were set for the residents. They were divided into 3 focal points. The short-term goals were the initial step for all residents, which included within the first week, they were to receive all necessary information regarding their care. Goals were set of the things that they expected to gain from the program and what was expected of them. Awareness regarding the fact that everyone recognizes that this was going to be a difficult time, but the staff is committed to providing the necessary tools to help. Motivation was to take the process one day at a time. And aspirations were of accomplishment. They was going to get through the program with the necessary help. At the halfway point of the program, behaviors were expected to be getting better, and the residents was expected to be on a daily routine, getting mentally stronger, and holding themselves accountable through practice and decision making. At the final step, and the ultimate goal, which was to be achieved by the end of their stay, was to be able to live independently that comes with economic and social stability. So throughout the program, they referred them to outside resources in which they either made sure their finances were in order for those that received assistance from the state or the government. And they developed home plans for each resident. So that was the ultimate goal, to be able to leave the program and function independently. Next slide. So my program. So I developed a survey made up of 7 questions, which I had 25 veterans sign up to participate. There were questions about their mental illness or substance abuse, how many times treatment had been sought, what barriers they faced, and if they considered this was a helpful program, and also had they ever used outpatient services before. So I compared the answers to whether or not, outpatient services was a determining factor for the veterans relapsing in their sobriety or not, or being able to cope with their mental illness, if they had the support on the outside as far as an outpatient program that they were actively attending or consistently attending. So during these interviews, which I also had short interviews with each resident just to get a sense of what they deemed their barriers were and if they had a support system when not in inpatient services. Next slide. So the results for my project. 11 out of the 25 residents had been in the program more than once, and only 2 had admitted to ever having used outpatient services. And out of the 14 out of the 25 residents were in the program for the first time, and 13 had admitted to using outpatient services. So interpretation of my data makes it clear that outpatient services had been an influence to whether or not these veterans were at a high risk of relapsing because of their struggles with either substance abuse or mental illness. Next slide. Accompaniment. This practicum, it allowed me to observe an actual effective health program. It also allowed me to implement activities for the residents, which the ones I did implement, the games we played, the groups that we did have, we allowed them to set goals. We use goal setting techniques and motivation to focus on their overall health and dependence. So pretty much gave them something to look forward to. Talked about family, getting better. Some had kids, get better so they will be able to be social, be independent when they came home, and be on a steady progress to deal with their substance abuse and their mental illness. And out of the 25 residents I surveyed, 10 residents successfully finished the program and left the facility. 5 residents were scheduled to finish within the next month, and the last 10 were scheduled to leave within the next 2 months. So overall, I would really say that this program is a really big help. It allows veterans to be able to come somewhere where they feel like they can receive help and ultimately get the best help available. Like I would witness staff just be all in. Staff was very committed to making sure that everybody had the tools they needed to succeed on their own. Next slide. So my only recommendations during the program, I noticed that there were a lot of resources that were offered to the resident. Throughout my research, I found that support from the families are pivotal in sustaining sobriety and mental illness stability. Although there are outpatient services that provide this service, there was not a precedent in place during their inpatient stay that included the family being involved. If the families also had the tools to deal with certain situations, that would be equipped with noticing, well, the families will be equipped with noticing potential problems. So overall, this was a very good practicum experience. I learned a whole lot as far as health programs. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.